Hey guys, Mike here, MF Custom Garage. So, I know it's been a little while since we've done a long video, and we're going to do one here. Sorry guys for the delay and everything else. It's just some things have gone on, and I'll talk about that just a little bit here. And unfortunately, we've been dealing with some things. So, anyway, I'm going to do a quick shop update video, and then we're going to go from there. And you're going to find out I haven't got much done. So, anyway, with that, let's move on. So as you can see, I got the hot tub back in here. We still had a leaky jet, so I had to get rid of all this foam and crap, and so of course that's just sort of a pain in my ass, so I'm dealing with that. It'll be back out in the next day or so. And then I just took on a truck. I got to do a couple things on a steering box and just some basic stuff. I still am doing a little bit of general here and there. So the Galaxy, well, it's all apart. I should have this sucked out of here in the next day or so, tranny out, all of that. So hopefully, like I said, the next couple days that'll be done. The next thing after that, I got to get going on Jay's box here, so I'm kind of working on that. Don't worry about that. The Mustang's still sitting here, and I got to get to that right away too. So, and the next thing, order of business, is Jay's cab. It's been sitting here since we went to Miles, Michigan, and that's because we had so much work to do before we left. But of course he was with us, so it is what it is. But I gotta finish one day's worth of polishing on this, and then get going on the box. So that's how that is. So yeah guys, it's just a quick update. And then I was going to go over some other stuff here that I wanted to talk. Okay guys, like I said, I want to sit here and talk to you a little bit about carburetors. And here in front of me, I got some carburetors. I wanted to explain some stuff about them. And I know there's a million guys on the internet doing carburetor videos, and that's great. But I wanted to go over a couple things real quick. So the three carburetors in front of us, this is a 670 Holley Street Avenger, sort of one of the first ones because these are the heavy carburetors. So anyway, years ago, about 10 years ago, I used a lot of these carburetors, and I really liked them. They worked very well. Holley had kind of finally, in my mind, put the secondary metering block on so you could do four-corner jet changes. They had improved the circuitry in the metering blocks as well. These carburetors seem to work really good in certain applications, and ultimately I like these carburetors a lot. But there's restrictions to these carburetors, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Some of the restrictions in these carburetors compared to the new ones that are out. So just give me a second here. Alright guys, sorry about that. I just took a second. So with these carburetors, the one thing I'm going to say is, like I said, this is 670 vacuum secondaries. This is the body of a 770 vacuum secondaries that I bought. Another 770 vacuum secondaries carb because I had to build a carb right before we left to go to Miles, Michigan. This is the carburetor that I bought. Now if you look at this carburetor, it's been modified. The choke hone's been taken off of it. I modified all this and made it kind of what I wanted it. A lot of people would be like, holy, you ran a vacuum secondary? Yeah, I ran a vacuum secondary. Now, I'm not saying I couldn't have run a double pumper. I can. I've got, a bit of converter in this car, but with a bigger front accelerator pump and a pretty healthy discharge, and I was able to make it all work really well. I mean, the proof's in the fact that we ran 740s, right? So, the secondaries have like the lightest, weakest spring in them. I mean, that it'll literally, it doesn't take much load to open it up. But on the other hand, we're a 500 cubic inch engine. Ideally, I wanted to run a 670, or not a 670, an 870, the biggest one of these they made. I couldn't find one for the right price at the time. I wasn't going to go and buy a new carburetor because long term, ultimately, the goal was to go back to fuel injection. So that being said, I want to talk about these and newer carbs. Like I said, these had a lot of benefits. Secondary metering plate on all of these, right down to 570 CFMs, 670, 770, 870. It had that. They didn't have a secondary idle adjustment though, so a lot like if you run one of these in a 770, it's a lot like an old 3310 with all the upgrades that guys used to do to it. But that being said, the one thing all these carburetors are missing, this is what I want to talk about. I tried to run this carburetor on this motor. It's a 670, it didn't suit it really well. I had no intentions of using it. I knew it was too small, but in the transition to go into a carburetor, I just wanted to put it on there, get it running, everything else. Ultimately, we run this on a way smaller motor. But how you're limited with these carburetors, and going back to the old school way of doing things, is a lot of the new brawlers, all your new carburetors, all have air bleed jets, where these have restrictors put in them, but you would have to drill the restrictor or you would have to modify it to make an air bleed change. So that being said, the average guy doesn't have that ability. So the carburetor has to be really matched to the camshaft, to the motor, etc. and so forth. So when I put this carburetor on, it really wouldn't idle good. It needed an air bleed change. It needed the idle air bleeds richened quite a bit, because the screws weren't having a lot of effect on the idle condition. And so I couldn't really make it work. Now when I went to the 770, of course it's set up for a different camshaft, different displacement motor, all of that, different package right from the beginning. I was able to get it to idle well and do what it did. It wasn't perfect. This cam is still a little tiny bit big for this air bleed package that's in here. But you can't make those changes. So that's what I want to talk about, being the limitations to any of these older carbs, like your 3310s, 1850s, all of that, without having these modified. When you used to send these to real high-end carb builders back in the day, like Willys and all those guys that were out there. Willys I use because I've dealt with streetwear with circuit track stuff. All these carburetor builders that built carburetors back in the day, I think Carburetor Specialties, there was a lot of them that specialized in build. A lot of them would tap these and make them so you could put air bleeds in here and all that. And yeah, you could build a carb really, really tailored to your specific application, or you could drill them or any of that type of stuff. But that being said, nowadays you can just get a carburetor. I think even the cheap brawler carburetors you can buy come with the ability to change air bleeds, which is really, really nice. That way you're not dealing with this. Now, that's what I wanted to talk about. So with any of those older carburetors, you're really kind of set to what they have, ultimately made that carburetor to work on. Now the next thing, talking about carburetors and stuff, this carburetor that we ran on Miles of Michigan, was it perfect for what we were doing? No, it was not. But it worked really, really well. So you can make any carburetor work in a lot of applications if you're willing to deal with you know, with the circuits and everything else. Like I said, we could drill the air bleeds, we could do things with this to make it better. Yes, we're not gonna do that. This carburetor does work really, really well the way it is right now. It is a vacuum secondary. It drove really good, of course, the whole time we drove all the miles, because in reality we were just running off a 2-barrel situation unless we decided to get into it. Do I think we lost a little ET with carburetor? Probably, not having that second accelerator pump on this big motor. But you can make it work with one accelerator pump. You could even go to a 50cc one, which I contemplated, but I didn't really seem like I needed it. I have a very aggressive pump cam in here, probably almost the most aggressive one to get all of the 30 cc's as quick as possible. And I think we got a pretty healthy squirter in here, guys. Yeah, we've got a 45 squirter in here. So it was pretty healthy pump shot for this motor and this converter and cam package. But you can go fast on a vacuum secondaries carburetor. I remember years ago, I knew an old bracket racer guy, and he said his car used to go, he'd change carburetors, and he had an old modified 3310, and he said it went just as fast as that as he did almost on an 850. They were very, very comparable. So that's the nice thing. If you have a smaller carburetor or a bigger carburetor on a smaller motor with those new bodies with the modified air bleeds, where you can change the jets, you can make the carburetor just work better. So anyway, that's what we run. I just thought I'd show you guys quick, and ultimately we're going back to fuel injection. And in the next week here or so, we'll get back to weekly videos. So like, share, subscribe, do the thing. I appreciate every one of you. I know we're getting up there. I think we're going to surpass 100 subscribers here pretty soon. I think we're at 80 or whatever. Thank you very much. And we'll get some more content. Like I said, we're going to get this out. We're going to deal with it. Hey guys, Mike here. So for this with the carburetors, I just want to do a quick outro on it. I know I kind of chopped my head off a little bit when I was doing the carburetors, but I was happy with the video, so I left it that way. And so anyway, bear with me, but I think there's some good information in there for you guys. That being said, like I said, we haven't done a long video in a while, and I've had some personal things happen in my life. So every once in a while, I guess you'll have to bear with us when that happens. You know, I'm not going to get into them in great detail because that's not what this is all about. But yeah, for about a month, we've been distracted from things, guys. And between that, I'm hurting my knee when I come home. But I'm better now, and things will get better. And like I said, hopefully from here on out, things will start to get better, and we'll get you some videos every week. So anyway, I think we're up to 80 plus subscribers, so thanks guys. I appreciate it so much. You have no idea. I mean, I hope we just keep going to, you know, 800 and 8,000 and everything else. We'll just see how time goes. But yeah, and sometimes guys, when it comes to personal stuff, I'm not big on that, but there's just some things you can't control, you know, and sometimes people have things that happen, and sometimes people get sick, and you know, all kinds of things. So anyway guys, keep your heads up, and Mike out. We'll catch you on the next one.